Ladies and gentlemen, I promised it, so I'm back to deliver. In this video that I released just before Season of the Lost, I talked about the profound impact that infinite ammo could have on Devil's Ruin. And when using it after the changes went into effect, I gotta say, it's everything I hoped it would be. But I had talked about making a build video featuring Devil's Ruin, a setup that could amplify its strength even further. So I present to you Burning Ruin, making use of the Devil's Ruin Sidearm, a few select mods and class abilities, and the reason my Titan is making a rare appearance, the Path of Burning Steps. And if you do end up enjoying this video, or you find it useful or helpful in any way, liking and subscribing are always greatly appreciated. And I usually mention this right at the tail end of the video, but the Ironworker Gaming channel does have a Discord server, over 400 members strong. So if you'd like to compare roles or builds, look for people to play with, talk Destiny, or just shoot the breeze with some like-minded guardians, that link is in the video's description. But let's get into it though and start putting the Burning Ruin build together. Alright, we've already established the two cornerstones of this loadout. Devil's Ruin, a solar exotic sidearm, which is available for direct purchase from the Legacy Weapon Kiosk at the tower, provided you do own the Shadowkeep expansion. At its core, it's a sidearm, and does sidearm things, firing at 300 rounds per minute with 15 rounds in the magazine. But this weapon does fire on trigger release, because of its intrinsic trait, Close the Gap. Hold down the trigger to charge and fire a high-powered laser that does intrinsically stun unstoppable champions. No artifact mod required. This is backed up by the exotic perk Pyrogenesis, that states charging the laser refills the magazine, basically guaranteeing that every laser shot is going to deal 15 damage ticks, thus emptying the magazine in the process. Now in the past, Devil's Ruin did suffer from ammo shortage issues, but since every primary weapon in the game now has infinite ammo reserves, that problem is left in the past. Paired up with the sidearm is the Titan exotic, Path of Burning Steps, available in Legend and Master Tier Lost sectors if you own Beyond Light. Solar Final Blows while these boots are equipped will proc Firewalker. This is a stacking bonus that will increase weapon damage that you can build up to 4x. And not every Solar Final Blow is going to grant a stack or refresh your timer, but they're not too terribly difficult to accumulate. Oh, and you're less affected by stasis with these boots on, which is now at least remotely useful in PVE, since some enemies do carry stasis abilities now. This works great with Devil's Ruin, since kills with the sidearm are basically creating their own damage bonus with Burning Steps assistance. Versus Carl, my favorite testing dummy, the base laser from Devil's Ruin could hit for 56,895 points of damage if all shots landed as crits, with 4 stacks of the Firewalker damage bonus. And FYI, the damage does cap at 3 stacks, but you can build it up to 4. That laser is now dealing 5,120 per tick, for a total of 76,800 points of damage on all crits. That is 35% more damage. That is heavy weapon tier damage. Better than heavy weapon damage, depending on which heavy weapon you're looking at. But anyway, moving on. For the subclass, Top Tree Sunbreaker. And I know a lot of you Solar Titan mains love hanging out in sunspots and are all hopped up on Bottom Tree. But Top Tree for two main reasons. First, Tempered Metal is going to give us a movement speed and reload speed boost with a solar ability kill. And since Devil's Ruin will have to reload every time we make use of the laser, being able to reload the weapon faster can really increase our damage output. Reason number 2, Hammer Strike. Now, if you are running Bottom Tree, Sun Warrior does provide a weapon damage boost, but the problem is it's not going to stack on top of Firewalker. I've tried, it doesn't work. Generally, 2 external damage buffs do not compound. So if we want to up our damage output even further with Devil's Ruin, we need a debuff, which Hammer Strike does provide. So in practice, we get our Firewalker stacks built up, slam into Carl with the Hammer Strike applying that debuff, and now damage ticks are registering for 6,656 points of damage from Devil's Ruin's laser. On all crits, that's going to total out to 99,840. Almost 100,000 points of damage being delivered from a single burst from a primary weapon. That is a lot of damage. Now, if you want to stop right there, keep it short, sweet, and simple, this is a fine setup. You'll be capable of laser beaming your way through most of the content in the game. But I did start noticing some issues when using it, so I decided to try to build into things a little bit further. Path of Burning Steps usually seems to require 2 to 3 kills to build a stack or refresh the Firewalker timer. Multi-kills seem to be more effective when building these stacks, but still. It's not always going to be up and active, especially in matchmade activities where fellow guardians love to sneak in a final shot on a target that you had dead to rights. So to ensure that I had a 35% damage boost for Devil's Ruin more frequently, I chose to run Surprise Attack. If you're not familiar, Surprise Attack is a Charge with Light mod. Upon readying or reloading a sidearm, it's going to consume all of your stacks of Charge with Light and grant you X number of rounds based on the number of Charge with Light stacks that you had, granting a 35% damage increase. And just in case you were wondering, no, Firewalker and Surprise Attack are not going to stack on top of each other. I tried, it doesn't work. As I said earlier, 2 external damage buffs generally do not compound. But what this does is it takes some of the burden off Path of Burning Steps, since it's no longer the sole provider of that damage increase. So mods like Taking Charge, Charged Up, Stacks on Stacks, or Supercharged can really come in handy in group activities. There are usually orbs of power laying around just about everywhere, so keeping Charge with Light stacks in your pocket is a non-issue. But at this point, since Devil's Ruin does not have a catalyst and cannot generate its own orbs of power, if engaging in solo activity, you're going to want a way to generate your own orbs, so definitely be using Masterwork Kinetic and Heavy Weapons. A few other mods to consider for the build. Sidearm Loader on your arms. Same premise as Tempered Metal. Every time the laser fires, your magazine's going to be empty and your weapon's going to need to be reloaded. Faster reload speed, higher overall damage output. Also, the new Sidearm Holster mod, which is applied to our boots. If you're in a position where you're not wanting to touch off that laser back to back to back to back, you can stow your sidearm, run around for about 5 seconds, and swap back. Boom. 2 rounds loaded in. Which is great for Devil's Ruin because it doesn't care how many rounds are in the magazine. Even if you had 1 round in the magazine, when you charge up and fire that laser, the magazine is refilled, so 15 rounds are being fired off. And we do have a few mods of interest in the seasonal artifact. Withering Heat. Damaging a champion with a solar ability weakens that champion for a short duration. Now, like Hammer Strike, this does appear to apply a 30% debuff, but it is only going to work against champion tier enemies. But you do have the benefit of being able to weaken a champion with your grenade from a safer distance. Also, Thermoclastic Strike. Solar and Stasis melees will disrupt overload champions. And since Hammer Strike is also going to apply the debuff to the target for us, it is a really nice pairing. So, in higher end content, Unstoppables are covered by Devil's Ruin, Overloads are covered by our melee, and if there are barrier champions present, drop one of those Sidearm Loader mods and grab your favorite auto rifle. But there still are a few things you do need to watch out for with this build. We're running both a solar subclass and a solar energy weapon. You can cover a second elemental shield type with your heavy, but we are 2 suited, which could be an issue in higher end content where the match game modifier is turned on if the predominant shield types are not solar. And here in Season 15, fusion rifles are extremely strong thanks to the particle deconstruction mod. Running Devil's Ruin is going to take almost every fusion rifle in the game out of play. And I mean, you absolutely could plug in a fusion rifle here instead of Devil's Ruin, but then it wouldn't be a Devil's Ruin build video. But I mean, overall, use this Burning Ruin build as you see fit. Tweak things, change things, rearrange things to suit your playstyle. Builds are fun, and I always like to treat them as a starting point, with mere suggestions of things that work well together. If you kinda like what's going on here, take it, run with it, make it your own. And if you did enjoy this video, please remember to leave it a like and consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel to catch more Destiny 2 content presented by yours truly in the near future. To contact me, Ironworker814 on Twitter, join the channel Discord, link is in the description, or comment down below and I will do my best to get back to you. And with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this video. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.